Hey, welcome to Dream Aloud with Kendra. It's a podcast for Black women who want to live limitless lives. Be inspired by others who have dared to step outside of their comfort zone to live their hopes and dreams and passions. Now let's get started because life is way too short not to live the way that you want.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I am here with Dr. Latasha Shears. I usually tell you about how I met them, but this has been an interesting day. It is such an interesting day that everything is just all over the place. So you just got to bear with me today. So I scheduled this interview with Latasha. We wanted to talk about the many pivots that she's made in her life because, this is the second act series, and we're talking about all of the pivots that my phenomenal friends and women that I know have made in their lives. After today's election in Georgia, the runoff, and we were just looking to see Mitch McConnell sit down, I turned on my TV and I've been watching TV for the last 4 hours. Like, really? This is what's going on. But we decided that we're going to go on with our program simply because Black lives still matter.
Always.
and we are going to follow our agenda as we did in the beginning. So I want to introduce to you Mrs. and Dr. Latasha Shears. Welcome to the series. I'm so glad you're here. You just got your your doctorate in
EDD.
education, your EDD. So tell me what your dissertation was about.
My dissertation is about looking within professional development programs in universities specifically for administrative professionals. So just really looking at what types of professional development programs they offer, and then looking specifically in one of those to see, you know, did participants network, what did they get out of it, did it meet their expectations, or not. And so I think, just looking back at it, it was a lot of work, but is well worth the effort because I myself, and as many of you always are talking to the people because we live, so y'all know.
Yep.
So we all do professional development in some way or another for our employers. And so in that regard, are you fulfilled in it? Did it meet your expectations, and why not? So that's really what it was about.
So, but I want to go back
Uh-huh.
to the beginning. So you went to Arcadia. You graduated from Arcadia. What was your degree in?
So I have a degree in sociology and a minor in anthropology and music.
And you join your choir and you guys have a singing group.
Yes.
And
So
go ahead.
yeah, we did a lot. I sung. So yeah, my minor is in vocal music. And most people don't know that though. So this is probably like a aha moment for them. I
Mm-hmm.
do sing, and then I worked. Oh, I shouldn't say work, but worked in ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and a vocal ministry group called Gifts, giving individuals faith through song. And we would go out and we would sing a cappella, six of us. And so it was just one of the moments that I could actually say that I took what I learned in school and
Mm-hmm.
actually applied it,
Mm-hmm.
in undergrad, and then also being able to travel. You meet different people, and so that's the
Mm-hmm.
sociology part. So that was really fun. So that's one aspect of my undergrad experience.
And you still sang after that, correct? Was
Yeah,
it with gifts?
sang with Gifts, also church choirs,
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
shower. You already know how that go. And my kids tell me, shut up. So
But you can sing, and your sister and your friends were
yeah,
in that
sister,
group
my
as
friend.
well.
Hmm.
And then you went to, what was it, pre-award or post-award, or did you do both for
I
higher ed, or
did
did you?
both pre and post award for higher ed.
And that has nothing to do with sociology.
So here's the thing. When I graduated, right, from Arcadia, I had all these math computer science credits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I had one advisor tell me, And this is how you learn some things. I had an advisor tell me the only thing that you could do with a math degree is an actuary or a math teacher. And I didn't want to do none of that. So I was like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to keep going with that. So I have all these math and computer science credits. And so when I graduated, I started out as a financial analyst for a very big, prestigious insurance company. And I hated corporate America. I hated it. And so I probably stayed there for a month or two. And mind you, when I graduated, I had a big old afro. I was like Black Power to the people. So clearly, corporate America was not
You
my
didn't
friend.
fit in. You didn't
I
fit
did
in.
not fit in. And when I left there and I found a job, I was doing grants management work for a local program for childcare providers. And so, in that aspect, it kind of worked with my social degree and my math because then I could manage grants and advocate for folks who applied for grants. And so, for me, that was one of the ways in which I could combine both things. And then I loved it. I love grants administration, love the grants industry. So that's how I sort of just moved from grants management to grants management to grants
Mm-hmm.
management from, a state agency to a nonprofit agency and then to higher ed, which landed me where I
And
was at
that's
when I
where
met
we
you.
met. We met in higher ed. So I want to tell you guys, Tasha would just show up at work. You see, she has pink hair today. She'd show up with blue hair, purple hair, and she like, I'm here and I know my stuff and no one can stop me. And this is the way she just operated, just such confidence. And so we clicked right away, and I would come into her office and slam the door and explain about how I have this director's title and people have a X. I had an X on my back
Hmm.
simply because I was Black and a woman with a title. And I wasn't in corporate America because I never wanted to be in corporate. I don't want to
Hmm.
do the tap dance. So I was used to being in a place where I could just come in, show my skills, do my work, and move on. But that was not the case in the environment that I had moved into. And I got my first taste of, we don't, they called me everything but the director of IT. They called me
Hmm.
our IT queen, our tech person, the help. They just wouldn't get me my title. So I continued to say, no, I'm the director. No, this is it. So I had I knew what I was doing. I would do my work, but then I'd come in Natasha's office and go, whew, let it all out. Purple hair to my natural afro. We'd go in there and we would talk. And then from there, our friendship grew. And then we started spending our time at the Thai restaurant talking about all the things that we wanted to
Oh, yeah.
do as we moved on because it just wasn't work. Things weren't working for us the way that we wanted to. The pay was good. The environment was decent. But at the end of the day, I wasn't feeling fulfilled and neither was she. So we would spend our time sitting there talking about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, um, stepping out of our comfort zone, doing things differently. Tasha took off long before I did. I was still like holding on, like I had a son in college. I need this tuition paid. I'm a little afraid. And I watched her take off. And in the middle of that, you wrote a book.
So yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about me taking off. So I am very spontaneous. And most
Mm-hmm,
of my friends will tell you I am not afraid of change. And
mm-hmm,
and once I realize my time is up, I'm gone. My time, I've done everything that I can do.
yeah.
You're not gonna burn me out. So I got a family, I have a husband, I have children, and the opportunity, God will provide a
Yes, you
way.
will.
And that's always what I've just been hinged upon because when I went to for that job for higher ed, I was coming out of a bad situation with my old employer.
Mm-hmm.
And right before I went in, they did a hiring freeze and I was
Mm,
stuck in limbo. And the woman who was in HR, she said, I don't know what's going on. She said, but everybody else paperwork is on freeze, but yours is still moving through. And I said, but that's not me, that's God. So let me just put that
yep,
out there. So the
yep,
reason
yep,
why I
yep,
ended up at higher ed is because that's where my assignment was. That's where
yep,
God wanted me to be.
yep, yep.
And so being there, I was able to pick up two master's degrees. So one of my master's degrees is in organization development, and the other one is in public health, school health education.
And you taught
And I taught while I was there.
sex
So
ed.
Yes.
It was a
Sex
sex
education,
ed.
human sexuality, and ethnicity, culture, and health. And that was very interesting. So those two things and all
Mhm.
of those experiences grounded me and figured out, what do I want to do? I have all of these different degrees and I have all this different experience. What's next? And then life hit. Boom. Um, I wrote a book called Dear Wives, Side Chicks Are Winning, and it is an ode to the difficulty that I had in my marriage with infidelity on both parts. So, when you're
Mhm.
out so busy focused on you and making yourself better and trying to help family members and doing everything, you kind of lose sight of what's important. And my marriage was important, but neither one of us was putting in the work for it. And that's what happened. And so, it really is a tell-all book. I
Yes, it
put it all out
is.
there.
Jesus.
I put it all out
It
there. The
is.
people
Whew.
people are like, "Why would you want your business in the street?" And I said, "Because I don't want to keep telling this story twice." And that was my
Yes.
perspective
Over and over again.
over and over again, because it's not just about the challenge of infidelity in marriage, but it's also about the turn and the success
Hmm.
that can come from it. Because two people, you have to learn from that experience, and what we learned from that experience we wanted to share with other people and let them know that it don't have to be the end. It could be the
Right.
beginning of something new in your relationship. You got to put in the work.
Yep. And your relationship is still intact. But I wanna just pause there for a minute. You said you put it in the book so you don't have to tell the story twice.
Hmm.
People are so busy hiding and
Hmm.
pretending that things are all wonderful in their personal life, their love life, whatever, that they're getting sick trying to pretend.
Hmm.
The other thing is, if you tell your story, no one else can tell it.
Hmm.
So you didn't have to hear about, oh, did you hear this? Did you hear that? Because you told your story.
Hmm.
And I always think about that at, I won't get too personal, but, you know, I won't get too personal, but there were some things that some people thought they knew about me. So they
Hmm.
ran to tell on me, but I'd already told it. So I
Hmm.
was happy to put on Facebook, well, I know you thought you had a surprise, but I've already told it. So guess what? I took away the sting. I've already put it out there. So what you thought you were telling is not anything new to the people that it matters to. So
Right.
I just for me, it was just I told people that I thought needed to know. But you
The
did the
world.
Maya Angelou, you went to Maya Angelou about it and put it all in a book. And so when I came to your book signing, the first thing I was like, I was the person with the questions like, what did your people say when they started reading the book? Because let me tell you, I'm one of your people. And I was reading the book like, oh my God, I didn't know this. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. But like you said, you never have to tell the story again.
Hmm.
It is what it is. We're all a part of the Stuff Happens Club, and you
Yeah.
move on.
Hmm. That's true. And I think I don't want to negate the fact that it is written by me and my husband. So
Yep.
it's not just my side of the story, it's both of our perspective of what
Mm-hmm.
was going on. And so, with that regard, it is both intimate, it is both a success story, but it
Mm-hmm.
also a moment of change. That's really necessary. People in relationships, they change. You don't stay the same,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you get together when you're younger. We were together, I guess I was 21 or something like that, probably that
Mm-hmm.
young. And, you know, things happen. You get houses, you get kids, you change jobs, you
Mm-hmm.
lose family members, you gain friends. And I think it really is a test of whether or not you're journeying together. And if you're journeying apart, how do you bring it back to the foundation?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we kind of lost our sight. And, we need to go back to the foundation. We've allowed other distractions to come
Mm-hmm.
in, whether that distractions is drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's partying, whether it is infidelity. It happens to every relationship, whether
Yep.
you're married or not. So, you have to be able to come back together and
Mm-hmm.
reestablish what that foundation is. And for us, it was really about going back to the Bible and going back to what it means to be a family. And we're in a unique situation because our families talk without us. And so his mom and his dad and my dad and my grandmom, they talk,
So they're
you
not
know,
breaking up.
no,
If
they're
y'all
not
break
breaking up.
up,
Yeah, that's it. So we gonna have to get our stuff together, right? So, and I would go to his mom for advice. He goes to my mom for advice. So it's just one of those things where our relationship,
mm-hmm,
we're stronger together than we are apart, and we're trying to raise our kids to understand that, hardships will come.
mm-hmm.
What you do about those hardships is going to define who your character is and what your next steps in life is going to be and what they look like. So that was one of the testimonies that came out of that.
And that's awesome. But
Yeah.
what I was like, oh no, she went the Maya Angelou route and told it all. But even Maya says you can tell what you know, but you don't have to tell everything you know. And I was reading this book like, Lord, she told it all.
And no, my children have not read the book yet.
Okay. But you guys are free from that. You
Yeah.
never have to worry about so and so saying this one saying that. You put it out there.
Yeah, it's true.
It may not be for everyone, but you put it out there. You're moving on. This is us. Blue hair, pink
Right.
hair. This is us, and this
Yeah.
is what we're doing. And I'm moving forward. And I think if people could just stop allowing other people to shame them,
Yeah.
knowing that everybody has stuff,
Yeah.
everybody has issues. And if I'm focusing on my stuff, I don't have to focus on yours. So when you see people nibbing and biting, they're just trying to hide their stuff.
Right. Right.
Instead of working on their own. So you just kind of move on with that. So let's talk about what you're doing now. This PhD and the work that you're doing now and that you want to do in the future.
Okay. So when I left the university, I was in the administrative role. And then I picked up the two master's degree and then I started teaching. And when I started teaching, I quit my administrative role and was working part-time. So
Mhm.
I was really relying on my husband to, you know, like, hey babe, I want to quit my job. We don't call each other babe because we hate it, but I won't say his name, but hey babe, I really hate my job and I want to teach. He's like, well, I'm not going to stop you from doing what you think is necessary, but
Mhm.
it really opened up my eyes to being a professor at a university. And then it just really, scratched at the desire for me to want to be able to do it for an experience. And I absolutely enjoyed it. But I wasn't a faculty there.
Mhm.
So I was just adjunct. So then another opportunity presented itself to go back to work, doing more grants management work.
Mhm.
And it really it was a part of my passion. The grants management work that I do now really looks at underrepresented populations that are in poverty, children and their families, and it speaks to me. It goes back to my original entry into grants management, which was in a childcare setting, and it
Mhm.
it really is looking at the compliance eyes of a lot of our programs, and so. That in and of itself was like, you need to do something. This is for you. Another thing that was, the door was open for me, and I said, well, let me just go on and pivot on into that door,
Mhm.
because I couldn't adjunct forever. And so I said, well, let me just go ahead and do this. And then in doing that, I realized that if I'm going to teach, I want to have the credentials to be able to do that. And that's
Mhm.
when I applied to Drexel University and got in. It was an online EDD program, so 100% of my program was online. That in and of itself is enough.
You were getting practice for now.
Yeah, I was getting practice for now. I'm traveling with my job a lot. I'm trying to be a mom. Trying to restructure my marriage, and I'm trying to do this education piece and go to therapy, because that's a big piece of it too. Marital therapy and independent therapy. So just trying to navigate all those different avenues was very challenging, but I'm not the type of person that sits still. I don't know how to sit
No,
still.
no,
So
no.
if there's nothing going on, I'm like, oh, I need something. Something's got to give, like I am right now. But back then, I had a lot of irons in the fire, and the program. was, you have to be a very disciplined person in order to do an online
Mhm.
EDD or PhD or whatever, because you need to make time for yourself, you need to make time for your family, and you need to make time to be a student. And I typically study and read at night. So I would wait until my kids go to bed at 8, 9 o'clock. And then I had an office set right there by the front door, and I was at the bottom of the steps so I could look up and see, make sure my kids were in bed. And if they got out of bed, every kid need water all of a sudden when they got to go to bed. So you got to make sure, like, all right, get your butt back in the bed. And then you just keep typing and plugging away. And so that was, helpful. But I think also, and I'm gonna stop saying I think because that's gonna drive me crazy. Um, Being in the program was training me for whatever this next chapter is going to be.
Mhm.
And being in an online program trains me in being disciplined, and it trains me in reading in my own pace and also writing and rewriting and trying to figure out where I fit into the larger picture, not just a university, but also where I am at work, and who I am as a person. And understanding that it's not easy for everybody.
Mhm.
And I had to learn that. I had to learn that it's not easy to be the multitask, multi-person and be all end all. I don't know how you did it as a single mom. I don't know how I would do it. Like that's enough, to do it with support. I don't understand how you would do it on your own. And it takes a lot of sacrifice. And
Mhm.
that was a big leaning and understanding that I had to acknowledge and recognize that I was privileged in that regard. I dropped my kids off at my mom's house and she would watch them so I can get some stuff done. That don't
Mhm.
happen normally for everyone. And I have to acknowledge that and really just
Mhm.
thank all those people who be like, I'll take your kids for an hour, go on to the library.
And all your people who did that are here. Your mom
Yes, they
says,
are.
"Love you." Lakeisha says, "Awesome class." So she took your class? Did
My
she
nephew,
take your sex
yeah,
education class?
she didn't take that class, but we were in a lot of other things going
Chelsea
on.
said it was a great book when we were talking about your book.
Hmm.
Gwen Allen said, awesome.
That's my
And
aunt.
Joy Cool Cat Matthews. I love Joy's Cool Cat Matthews. She says, hey, hey. So there's a lot of other people watching. So that's your support team,
That's
your,
my support
your,
system.
your system of
Hmm.
women and men. I was going to say sisters, but there's women and men that
Hmm.
have set you on a path because they're helping you and you're helping them.
Hmm.
You definitely helped me because, like I said, we sit and we had Thai food and we would talk about what we're going to do,
What's
how
the
we're going to
plan?
move forward, what's your plan. And like you said, most people think I'm one of those people. I'm doing this next, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But I was like, you haven't met Tasha because she's running circles around. I was like, what you doing now? Where you going now? It's all good, but those experiences make you who you are. And I think if you actually get out your comfort zone, which means you may be doing some things afraid.
Hmm.
Tasha's usually not afraid. She just go ahead and she does it. Like, I'm gonna just see how it works. And you always land on your feet
Hmm.
and you always come out with a better understanding of who you are and with a new experience that you can or skill that you can parlay into something else. And I've done that, but then I started getting comfortable. So every time I want to get really comfortable, I look to friends like you who
Hmm.
continue to pivot so that you can feel fulfilled. And then, every time we make a pivot and we go to something else, I know I do. I feel like, what took me so long?
Right.
I should have just done this in the first place.
Hmm.
And so when you're talking about all these pivots you made and it taught you who you are, it also gives you an opportunity to reflect on where you come from and
Right.
where you're going.
Hmm.
So where are you going? I know you got
Child,
something in the works.
won't be in DC no time soon, but uh I
That
had to
shocked me. I turned
yeah.
on the TV. I just wanted to see Georgia win and take the Senate so that we can have some type of balance
Mm-hmm.
in government. And I saw this. And it's not like it's something new.
No, not
It's
at
not
all.
something new. It's just playing out on the screen now.
I I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. I can't say that if I had a crystal ball, I wouldn't think that this
Mm-hmm.
will happen. It is
Mm-hmm.
a reflection of what's been brewing in this country for a very long time. And it is just surprising that people have not realized that opposition, is not it's not that polarized thing that we think of. It's black and white. There's a lot of grays that are out there. There's a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who we don't see. Those are just the people that we see.
See, exactly.
And there's millions of people who we don't see who agree with what's happening right now. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think we are at a place in this country where we can't deny it anymore. There's no
Mm-hmm.
place and no room. You can try to ignore it. You can pretend that it's not happening, but
Mm-hmm.
it is playing out.
Mm-hmm.
2020 has really rocked us to our core as a nation. And I say us because I'm an American,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a citizen. And so it
And you
has
built
rocked us.
this.
And yeah, this is where we are. I'm not surprised at this at all. I think the pandemic really highlighted it for
Mm-hmm.
everyone. And we're all in a place of desperation. And that plays a role in the things that we would be willing and unwilling to do. Things, if things were not as bad as it is the pandemic, this might look differently. But people are desperate. They're desperate for change. They're desperate for attention. They're desperate and wanting to be right. And they're being fed a lot of misinformation by the internet. Before, we didn't have this easy
Mm-hmm.
accessible tool to look at our parties and look and find people who are like us and have the same ideas as us. And I think that it really is polarizing folks and their thought pattern. And we talk about groupthink, and it
Yeah.
means we use groupthink a lot. Groupthink
Mm-hmm.
is when we go and we look at the reviews and we go to see whether or not a lot of people gave it 5 stars or not. We use it every day. We use it with Uber drivers.
Yep.
We use it in
Yep.
social media. We use it for our contracts. We come to our house. We look to see what that social network has said and rank them as, and really make our own decisions based on that. And we're at a place where we're allowing other people to control our own thought patterns and our own behaviors, and that's a scary place to be.
Do you think people are actually thinking for themselves, or there are some people, or are everybody just going for the group think? And I just feel like there aren't many people going against the grain because of the repercussions
Hmm.
that they face if you don't go against, if you go against the grain, if you don't go with the crowd, if you don't do the group think thing,
Hmm. And
there's
it's
a
nice.
price to be paid.
Yeah, and it's nice to even acknowledge that there is not just red and blue. There are people in this country who are libertarians. There are people in this country who don't vote. There are people in this country
Mm-hmm.
who just have this idea that even if I do vote, it doesn't even matter. So there's a lot of that if I stand, I stand alone mentality, but
Mm-hmm.
you stand almost unacknowledged. And when you do finally stand, people are beating it down your throat that you need to either be red or blue, So
Right.
it's very difficult to
Right.
stand by yourself until you find your tribe. And I think that's the biggest part is, that's a way in which you can um, sort of unveil and see where people fall. The census is one way you look at it, but that based
Mm-hmm.
off of categories. Who creates
Mm-hmm.
the categories? What do we do without categories? What
Mm-hmm.
do we do without police? In one hand, we want to defund the police, but in another hand, we want them to protect us and to get things back in order. So where there's all these different avenues, and people change, and you go with one idea, and then you think, you have to allow people the room to grow.
Yes, the room to grow. And this cancel culture won't allow people to do that.
Mhm.
In 1997, you said XYZ, so we're canceling you. Like, really?
Mhm. It's craziness.
You have to have a chance to grow. And the other thing is when you grow, please don't judge the people behind you.
Right.
Because now you found something new, and now you're like, y'all should do this and you shouldn't do that. Like, but you were just doing it last week. Allow people the opportunity that you were afforded.
I got receipts on you, but I don't want you to pull up the receipts on me.
Exactly.
And it's bad, but this is where we are.
But that's also a part of the hiding.
Yeah.
It's part of the hiding, because if I point you out, then nobody's looking at me. Instead of actually looking inside and deciding. And isn't that part of your dissertation, looking within? And so I have my 3-day retreat coming up. It's called Unmask. Stop hiding behind the mask. We all need to figure out who our authentic self is. And my quest is to show up as me, authentically me. Whether I'm standing against the grain, and I usually am. No matter where I go, I want to show up as me.
I will tell you, my hair has become my trademark, and so much of it that it now defines who I am to a lot of people. And it's very unfortunate but people usually know, oh, that's Latasha. She's coming in with something, spectacular on her head, and something's going to happen.
Or her lips may match the hair.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And this has been going on since undergrad. This is not news.
Yeah, because that's you. It's
that's who I am. Right. And that's authentically me. But there are also consequences to those actions of me being me. And that could be, I don't get the promotion because I don't fit the square. I don't look like the person that you would want to promote. But then I pivot, and then I go to a place that is willing to accept me, because I'm not willing to, for lack of better terms, dumb down to meet your expectation. Because if the work is important to you as an employer, then the work is what you should be looking at. And I think that we lose a lot of people in the industries, whether it's corporate America or whether it is other places, because we're too concerned about what people look like as opposed to how they're doing their job. And that's the unabashed truth about it. And people are different. We're not supposed to all have straight hair, brown eyes, blue eyes, the same skin color. We're supposed to be diverse. And with diverse thinking and diverse thought, you can come out of those boxes. You appreciate other people, but you have to be willing to talk about it. You have to be willing to acknowledge it. You have to be willing to at least go out and search a diversity of thought. I don't expect everybody to think like me, but what I do expect is for somebody to acknowledge my point and move on from it, and maybe learn something,
and don't diminish it.
I could talk about women being diminished a lot, but I'm not going to go there. Mansplaining, spaces and environments, walking down streets. I mean, it is just everywhere.
It is ridiculous. But I do want to talk about the that a little bit. So, I love to travel. So we went to Dubai. There's a women's car, women and children, just for women and children. But it's open to the rest of the cars. So there's a big line. Why was there a man standing there with one foot on the man's side and another foot on the women's side? It's unnecessary, but they have to do it.
Right.
What is that?
And what my friends at work would say is, it's cultural. We have, a lot of us wear bangles to work, and we'll shake out bangles and say it's cultural.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. If you don't speak the way that someone expects you to speak, then you're dismissed, and you may be you might be the brightest person in the room, the most intelligent, but you can't even be heard because you don't speak the way that they want you to speak.
Kendra, I go into meetings and people expect me to speak at this point. And I'm not ashamed to say what I think, how I feel, and the questions that I have, as long as there's room for it. And every meeting that you go to, there's not always room for the opposite thought or the question to spark thinking debate. A lot of times it's paternalistic, finger pointing. What is there to do? A lot of our meetings are not designed for open thought. And I think that's where many people have, many businesses, agencies, organizations, social clubs, all those things, they go awry if you're not open to the idea that this might not be the
Exactly.
right way. We might have a better
Exactly.
way to do this, so.
And why is it that people are willing to go the wrong way instead of just acknowledging you're right?
Hmm.
Or let's not forget when you put your ideas out there and everybody said, no, that won't work. And then 5 minutes later, you're in the meeting and they're using your
You're
stuff.
right.
I'm like, excuse me, didn't I just say that?
Intellectual property at best. I think I own that thought. Wait a minute. That's mine. I said that last week. I have one of my good friends. She always say, that's what I was saying, and they just took it, they massaged it, and they made it their own. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's intellectual property. They done stole your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. Don't allow people to steal your thoughts. If you speak up while you're in that meeting, go back to the meeting minutes. Hey, hey, hey! I said
Yep.
that last week.
Yep.
What's
Yep.
going on here? So,
Yep.
it's very interesting to
And then
see how things play
sometimes you
out.
just have to weigh your options, like you said.
Hmm.
Am I just wasting my time here?
Yeah.
Because I can take my time. As long as you have some talents, you can take them elsewhere where they'll be received. So
And
sometimes you have to
yeah.
weigh that option and actually just move on. And you need to figure out when is the time to move on.
And you have to be prepared. You you have if there's a lot of, and I'm speaking to folks out there in the Facebook world, there's a lot of folks who always are planning to do things. You need to be an executor of the
Yes.
things. Take it one thing at a time, execute it.
Yes.
Even if it's something as small as, most people don't go to a university and just get a degree. No, you have to apply, you have to get accepted, you have to register for classes, then you have to attend the classes and pass the classes. So there's a lot of steps that even go
Mm-hmm.
before you get a degree. So take it and break it down and execute each piece in a way that is manageable and palatable for you to celebrate
Yep.
those small victories. Everything is a small victory. You finish the
Yep.
application, girl. Let me call my friend. We going that's kudos and celebrate, because you need that in order to move forward. You need to do 3
Yep.
positive things to combat 1 negative thought.
Yep.
So that one thought is going to take 3 times as harder in order to just push forward and push past it. So, I say celebrate the small victories, the small wins, and whatever they are, celebrate them, execute it and
Yep.
celebrate it. Make a task list, write things down, text yourself, use the notes on your phone, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is that you need to do, get an accountability partner. Those are things that are really important in helping you to achieve your goal, because it's easy to fall off the wagon if you don't have a lot of ways to keep yourself accountable to executing whatever that goal is.
Gwen said, "You're preaching, girl," and you are. And you are. That's the truth. And see, I know what we do. We want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row before we move. We want everything to be perfect. So we
Mhm.
have perfect paralysis, perfection paralysis. So we want to do all those things before we put it on our resume. Now, I'm not saying lie on your resume, but if you've done something and you have a skill in it, don't wait till you're a master at it to put it on your resume, because oh boy next to you, the mediocre guy, he's
Mhm.
got that on his resume and he's over there just talking and spinning his wheels. And I know when you're blowing smoke, and most
Right.
everybody else knows when you're blowing smoke too.
They do.
Just make sure you know your stuff and that you can do the things that you said that you can do on that resume. Don't wait.
I'm gonna give you
Don't
2
wait,
words:
please.
pursuing and anticipated. Those are the 2 words that you could use in order to show that you are working towards
Yep.
something
Yep.
and that you are expecting an outcome. So pursuing is working towards something, and anticipated is that expected end. And so if you are in your element and you find out like, hey, these things are not just working in my favor, I need to move something differently.
Yep.
Those are things that you can tell people. I'm pursuing
Mhm.
this in anticipation that I get that.
Yep.
And that's not lying, because
Yep.
that's what you're doing.
That's what you're
But
doing.
right. And so, yeah. Yeah.
So let's put that in the context of your professional development programs, your study of that. Are they effective? When are they effective? Because lots of people have a million different certifications.
Mm-hmm.
I have a certification in this and that and the other, and you never did any of that. You just read a book.
Right. Right.
And
Most.
sometimes your name goes to the top of the list because you have all of these certifications and no experience. So if somebody with some experience needs to figure out which one of these certifications you need to have and which ones you should let go. So what's your take on that?
Professional development, in my opinion, is most effective when there is an attachment to a personal objective or goal, but also is linked to an outcome that resonates with the person. And so if you sending me to training just to be trained, I'm not going to absorb it. I'm not going to be able to apply it because I'm just listening in because my boss sent me here. But it has to be connected to something that resonates with the person. And then it has to, the expectation of the professional development program has to meet the expectation of the participant. And so if the professional development program is telling you, we are going to teach you how to use social media, and I'm expecting to leave here being able to program social media in the background, that's not going to really match. So you have to really dive deep and to see who's applying for programs, what they're expected in is, how it resonates with them, and then tailor the program, have ways in which it tailors the program to them individually and in their work. And so in order to be successful, there's really a lot of front loading in a program and advertising, getting the right folks and making sure the right folks are able to then apply it, and then following up. That follow up is essential. So if a program, a professional development program, is just out there to graduate people, it's not going to be successful. You need to graduate people and follow up with them and see, what ways the program was successful, what ways the program can change, and then modify and adapt based off of the needs and based off of who the applicants were. Because if you have the same person applying for the same professional development program years and years and years and years and years, and you keep saying it's not the right fit, what does that mean? What are you looking for? We could go to university programs. If you keep applying to the same university over and over again, maybe it's just not the right fit. Maybe you need to look at the broader lens and see, where is it and what is it? Does the mission speak to me? Folks just going out and applying to schools that they can get in, but they usually don't last because it doesn't speak to who they are as a person. I went to plenty of predominantly white universities, and it's very difficult to acclimate to what's happening there until you either find your tribe or you find a way in which it speaks to whatever your mission is for yourself. And so that's the only way you're going to be successful, or you'll just be on the outliers, on the outlines, just hanging out. You're hanging out until it's time to go. You don't make the good connections, you don't meet the good friends, and you don't have lifelong attachments. And I think that's what I was able to do at my different jobs, meeting my tribe, finding people who are like me, finding people who understand me, finding people who will grow me. I don't want to always be the smartest person in my circle. I want to be able to call people and ask people questions. I don't want people to always be calling me for the answers. I want to be able to create a network around me that's smarter than me, that's wiser than me. And it doesn't always have to be in one specific area. It could be in something that is just offline. If you're a really good parent and you have really good parenting skills, I need you in my tribe, because I might be sucking at being a teenage mom. I'm just going, these teenagers are a mess. So I'm gonna need some help. How'd you make it through those teenage years? Because I'm not doing it very well. So those kind of things. And you have to find people who will grow you. And that's one way in which professional development programs can help grow people.
And I think personally looking within
Mm-hmm.
is definitely necessary. You just said that.
Mm-hmm.
You can figure out what you're good at and what you're not. If you're honest with yourself, then you know where to get your help.
True. I had to tell myself, listen, because I'm not like a lot of people. I think I can do everything. And if you're part of that tribe of folks, that you'd be like, the plane going down, sit me in the cockpit.
That's
I got
right.
this.
That's right.
You have to also know where your limitations are. Like, ma'am, please do not get up when they ask if somebody is here as a doctor. Like, I am not a medical professional doctor, but I can show you how to correct this paper. Like,
Yep.
You got to
Yep.
know your limitation. That's a part of knowing yourself and being able to say, I can't do that. I can do this. Here's where my
Mm-hmm.
expertise lies,
Mm-hmm.
and here's where I'm trying to grow. But I can't do that. And that's a part of knowing yourself, looking within, and that's important too.
All righty. Let's see if we have any questions for anybody. Um, Gloria says, never downplay your success. And they're like, yes, Dr. Shears, because that is good information. And it is. It's important that we should be able to show up as ourselves everywhere. So take that mask off. Because you can either be, a slave to your ego, or you can be a host to God, because He's created you and He's given us purpose
Hmm.
and passion. And if you follow that in His timing, because
Right.
you have to be aware of certain things. Don't just go out and do things
Right.
if you don't have that fortitude. Now, like you said, you get up and you jump, and I jump on lots of things. There's certain things that I'll just backpedal on, but I will just jump out, and people are like, well, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna do it? I don't know. I'm just gonna figure it out. Where God guides, He provides, and
Hmm.
that's the way I do my thing. And people are looking at me strange, but every time I do that, every time I step out, every time I go against the grain, I'm so happy I did.
Hmm.
Even if you do it when you're afraid, do it. And let peace be the umpire, though. If you don't have peace about it, don't do it.
Yeah.
But there's a difference in being afraid and having peace, because there's sometimes that you should go, but the familiar feels a little better. So you just feel like, I'll just sit back here, but you know that you're supposed to move forward. Now, if you feel like there's nothing that's pushing you, you want to do all this, and you're going to have buyer's remorse in the morning
Right.
because that there's no peace, then you should wait. But other than that, I say move forward, keep it going. Don't sit back and let time pass you by. And if we haven't learned anything from 2020,
Mm, mm, mm.
is life is short.
It is.
And I don't want to sit around thinking I shoulda, coulda, woulda done anything.
Right.
So if there's something that you want to do, go ahead and do it. And if you're not sure about what it is that you want to do, then look within.
Look within.
Are there
And then
any
find yourself and
questions?
ground yourself, because
Yes.
you have to allow yourself to create environments of peace. You know, you can be in the middle of a storm, i.e. the US, but you
Yeah.
have to be able to find your own peace, or
Mm-hmm.
otherwise every ship that go by you'll be asking for
Mm-hmm.
somebody to help you. But sometimes you have to be able to identify where you are, where you sit, so that when it is time to move, you've already laid the roadmap, you've already laid the groundwork. And growing up, I spent a lot of time knowing me. If there's a lot of noise outside, or outside noise, I've learned how to
Mm-hmm.
mute the distraction. And that has served me very well in my adult life. It served me well as a student, because I am able to drown the noise and to come back to my peace. My husband used to laugh at me, or he used to just be like, what is going on? So in the morning, every morning I get up, I sit on the edge of the bed before my feet hit the floor, and I just close my eyes and I meditate.
Mm-hmm.
What, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And in the beginning of our relationship, it freaked him out. He was like, what is happening? Are you still
Mm-hmm.
asleep? What is going on? Are you sleepwalking? And I tell him before, because once my feet hit the floor, I'm gone. The whole day to me is gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's a part of really figuring out what works for you, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's prayer,
Mm.
whether it is, just, for some people, it might be the glass of wine at the end of the day. I don't know. But whatever you choose to
No, not me.
do, you just figure out how to regain that space
Yep.
for yourself
Yep.
to really listen, to see, okay, I did that wrong today. I can do something better tomorrow. Or I really rocked
Mm-hmm.
it today. I deserve this moment.
And
And
don't
so,
beat yourself up. Like you
yeah,
said, I'll just do it
I'll
again.
do it again tomorrow. If my eyes wake up and I'm open and I'm available, I'm going. So just knowing that part of yourself is really pivotal and important. Um, And I think it was something else that you said, and I have to remember, but you was
I have
talking
a
about that.
question from Brenda Renee. She said, what is your passion and ultimate professional goals?
You know what? Only a boss would ask such questions. So right now, I'm working on opening my own business with it's called Sincere Help, and I want to help people, individuals who want to write a book with their editing. I want to help students with their writing papers, help folks through coaching and development of ideas. So if you have an idea and you can't really flesh it out, most people just need a sounding board. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to help folks to be that sounding board for them at a fee,
Okay. Yeah,
because
that's the other thing.
time is money,
Mm-hmm.
and I could be spending my time with my family, but as a businesswoman I have to learn, because we was talking about this the other day. You can't be so busy pouring into somebody's cup that you don't drink,
That's
and
right.
you're
That's
dehydrated
right.
but you poured in everybody else's
That's
cup.
right.
So that's what my business is
And
about,
everybody
helping.
wants a discount, but they don't ask other people for
No,
discounts.
not at all. So yep, that's
And if you know that this person has information and expertise that you need, you should be willing to invest in yourself.
very true.
And if you have invested in yourself, then you should know that what you have is valuable and that you can share it with others.
Yep. And that's my
And
professional. That's my
like you said,
professional.
for a fee.
For a
And
fee.
so, and I'm doing that too. So, again, I said at the end of the month, the 28th, 29th, and the 30th. Now, the 28th is just a keynote opening session. It's only for an hour. That's a Thursday. And then we'll do all day Friday and half a day on Saturday. And the event, it's a 3-day retreat, but I'm only doing a few hours a day because people have stuff to do. But it really is. It's called She Comes Unmasked, and it's Dare to Pivot, Manifest Your Dreams. And I'm talking about your professional dreams, your
Mm-hmm.
personal dreams. You have to start somewhere. So why not start with a pivot strategy? Let's go back to all the dreams that you had. Put together a plan on how, like you were talking about that plan. Put it down, write it down, make it plain for you so that you can make a plan on how you're going to bring those dreams to fruition. And so I'm going to post that in here on our Facebook Live. So anybody who wants to join us, it's for ladies though. It's for ladies. And you want to join us, and I'm going to give you a code. The code is Dream Aloud. If you put in Dream Aloud, then you get 25.
Aloud.
Yes,
Aloud.
out loud, but it's allowed. Dream Aloud, Aloud. And you can get an extra 25% off your ticket, which makes it 88.95, something like that.
For a
And then
3-day conference.
for
You
a
can't
3-day
get it at that
conference,
price nowhere.
and you can bring a friend for $77. But don't forget, you're going to get that 25% off on that person too. So you can bring a friend or two or three. But we're just going to get together and start addressing those masks that we wear. And why is it that you can't show up as yourself? You might show up as yourself at church, but do you do it at work? We want you to be able to show up authentically you wherever you are. And everybody has to start in some place. So you may not be at the place that Tasha's at, or you may not be the place that I am, and we may not be on the same level. However, we're all people. And there's nothing new under the sun. So whatever you're going through, somebody else has already gone through that. And the one thing that I learned kind of late was get yourself a mentor, because everything that was new to me that I was enduring as a Black woman with a title, somebody else had already gone through that. If I just asked a question, I would have been soaring through all of those things. I did make it through, and it was a good experience, but it could have been a lot better if I just gotten a mentor. Now I had a great circle, but everybody was on my level. You want somebody who's gone before you, and you want to reach back and help somebody who's coming up behind you. So the things that you're doing with Sincere Help, when is that going to be available?
It's available now. I'm on Instagram, Sincere Help. I have a website, sincerehelpllc.com. And you can, just message me either on Instagram or Facebook, and I will definitely respond and we can have a conversation first and then see whether or not it's the right fit. Because definitely I want to make sure that you get what you want to get from the services that you're paying for, and that's what's important too.
Exactly.
Um, yeah. And I think did I answer Brenda's question professionally? I think the last part, she asked me what I
Yeah.
wanted to be professionally. And I'm going to say very quickly that I want to make lasting changes that affect the most amount of people,
Yes.
whatever position I am in. Right now I have, changes that affects one organization at a time. I want to be able to make big swinging changes for multiple organizations at one time.
All right, girl. So Joy Cool Cat Matthews says something just placed an idea for a book, for writing a book. So she'll be calling you.
All right.
So she's ready for that. So before we leave, because this is always what
Yeah.
happens, it's supposed to be a half hour, and I get on here with my friends, and they have so much to say because they're brilliant people. And so, but I still ask these two questions of everybody. What is your favorite quote?
I don't have one favorite quote, but I do love lots of Bible scriptures. And one of the scriptures that I love, that I never remember where it's from, is a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. And that really is reflective of, if you really want to be this person, if you want to achieve this, you can't hide, you can't be in the dirt if you want to be acknowledged for your fruits of your labor. So you need
Girl,
to put yourself out there. You can't hide.
girl. See, the confirmation just keeps coming from everywhere. In my list of things that we're going to talk about, it's stop shrinking.
Yeah.
And stop playing it small for other people. We got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Be who you are. And
Authentically
that
you.
means, like you said, a city on a hill cannot be hidden.
Mm-hmm.
So stop shrinking, stop
Stop
hiding,
drinking.
stop doing all of that. It's not a benefit to anybody, and the world needs the unique you. And then my last question is, on whose shoulders do you stand?
I stand on my support system, my families. I realize that I would not be able to do half the things that I do without a supportive husband. I would not be able to do the things that I do without a supportive family. And I would not be able to do the things that I do without crazy friends that allow me, Tasha, to be Tasha and not mom, wife, sister,
Mm-hmm.
daughter. I need space for me to be crazy me. And they tell me, scale it back a notch, sis.
Just for 15, 20 minutes and then
Just,
go on
yeah,
back.
yeah. Just come on then. Somebody get the bungee cord. She done jump without the cord being wrapped. Somebody get her. So that's my friend's job.
Oh, and I have to read this again because Joyce said I read it wrong. Someone just placed the idea of writing a book. So she'll be calling you because I think I said something. She was like, someone.
Oh, okay. All
Thank you,
right.
Joy. Are there any other questions for Dr. Shears? I'd like to say Dr. Shears. How long have you had your degree now?
September 2020.
I love saying
September
Dr.
2020
Shears.
is
I'm
official.
so happy for you.
I'm glad. And I was not going to say Dr. Shears until my boss made me do it on all
Why
of my
not?
Zoom calls. And because it is
Because you were
about,
shrinking.
I was shrinking, humility. I was shrinking, but I am learning to be a city on a hill.
Yeah.
I'm learning that
See,
still.
I think I know we're going over, but we just talking about the shrinking and you didn't want to do it and it was humility, but it's false humility because we've been taught
Hmm.
as Black folks. Now I have to say, as Black folks, it's like don't boast yourself up. Let somebody else praise you. You don't praise yourself. You let somebody else do it, and you know who you are inside. But at the end of the day, that's why we're losing in the boardroom sometimes, because we didn't put it out there. And we need to learn to do that. You worked hard for that, doctor.
Sure did. I will do it now. It took someone to encourage me and to push me to do it.
Now, you're not going to fall out if somebody calls you Latasha. No. Because we know some people like that too.
Yeah, no.
But you're going to acknowledge the work that you did and actually be proud. And who cares what other people think? Because the people who are for you are for you.
That's correct.
And the haters are still going to hate whether they call you Dr. Shears or not. So at least let them see it.
Let them see it. I agree. Let them see it.
So are there any other questions? Because we can go on forever.
Was fun. We tried to at least get all of our conversation out before this. So we did pretty good, I think.
Yeah, we did. We did. Your the questions were good. Carmen said, "Can she read your book?" That's what
you can get the book on Amazon. It's on Amazon. You can search for my name, Latasha Shears. You can search for the book title, Dear Wives, Side Chicks Are Winning. But you can get it from Amazon. And you can also, directly purchase it from me if you like. But that's going to cost more because it's signed. So just know, prepare yourself. It will cost more. But those are the two avenues that I think most people will go to in order to purchase the book, with Amazon and, contacting me directly if you want a signed copy.
So if you're looking for an example of pivoting, Dr. Shears is definitely that person, from music to grants writing, to teaching, to back to grants, and then getting your PhD, and you make it all work for you. And that's what the pivot is all about. Just don't pivot to say, look at all I'm doing. You're making the changes so that you can live the life that you want to live. So my desire is to see people live, work, and play their way and be fulfilled in all that they do. And so I'm so glad that you joined me. And we have definitely gone over time.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you actually were able to find some time to join, because you're doing a million things. So this video will be available to everyone on Facebook Live, on Facebook, and the audio will be on my podcast. So I'll let you know when that will be airing. And again, sign up for the She's Come Unmasked, Dare to Pivot, and Manifest Your Dreams. It's January 28th through the 30th, and you get 25% off. So I'll be posting that right after our call. We want to thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Facebook.
They're like, yes, Dr. Shears. yes. And so they said Carmen is 13.
Tell Carmen, come on. I take kids too.
That's right. She takes care too.
That's
with
right.
the reading of the book as well.
With the reading of the book as well.
That's right.
Well, Carmen, get your mom's approval
first.
You
need permission.
Parental approval first. Let your parent or caregiver read first, and then let them determine. It's a little, like I said, my kids are teenagers, and I still battling with whether or not to let them read it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's all out there, and it's true.
It's out there.
So Kim Johnson Milton says, awesome, ladies. I thank you all for joining us. And this has been a pleasure. And we're going to have to bring Dr. Shears back. I have another series coming up in February, but we'll bring her back and a few other people. And I hope to see you all 28th through the 30th online. It's a virtual retreat, so you can just sit in your house. And we're going to have more conversation like this and a lot of looking within, remembering who you are, where you've come from, and where you're going. Thank you, and have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Dream Aloud with Kendra. If you like the show, leave a review and tell a friend. I also invite you to join our Dream Aloud Facebook group, where we encourage and challenge our members to step outside of their comfort zone and live limitless lives. I guarantee you will experience true fulfillment when you live, work, and play your way.